Global happenings today. We communicate, we analyze global news. Stay tuned.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to Global Happiness Today YouTube channel. Yes, we're already on full countdown to the election 2023, and Nigerians are really looking up to INEC to give them free, fair, and credible election. And to that, the international world, international community had to bring the chairman of INEC for a very strong roundtable discussion, of which he took time to explain. A lot of Nigerians believe that their vote may not count simply because of the regular alleged rigging that usually takes place. So they believe that what difference will 2023 elections make to their vote? Well, you're going to find out how well you should trust INEC and their BVAS. In a moment, you're going to find out. But before we do that, kindly subscribe to our channel by clicking on the right subscribe button. Beside it, you see a bell notification icon. Please go ahead, click on it to get notified as soon as we update our channel on YouTube. Well, a report has it that the electoral umpire boss touched on these topics while delivering an address to a house in United Kingdom. The address was titled Nigerians 2023 Elections, Preparations and Priorities for Electoral Integrity and Inclusion. Now, I'll read the text in full. Said, I am highly honored to lead this discussion today and to share this illustrious platform which has over the years become exceptional intellectuals, celebrated public servants, and renowned statesmen. Exactly 39 days to the next general election in Nigeria, which I have both the privilege and challenge of leading its proper delivery. Elections in Nigeria have become events that attract extensive international attention and concern, not only because of the sheer size of the deployment, which usually draws extensively on both national and international resources, but also because of the importance of Nigeria in Africa, particularly the West African sub-region. Although it is true that elections should normally be routine, programmed event, each election in Nigeria invariably presents its own unique context and therefore distinct challenges and prospects. Overall, therefore, there are enormous expectations both within Nigeria and internationally about the conduct and management of elections in the country. The 2023 general election is no exception. These expectations place a great responsibility on the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), a responsibility that we do not take lightly. We appreciate that there are challenges and concerns, but we also realize that there's enormous goodwill and support both in Nigeria and beyond. Consequently, we believe that by forthrightly sharing our experiences and discussing the challenges openly, we can surmount them and ensure that each succeeding election in Nigeria shows marked improvement over the preceding ones. This is what I hope that the exchanges we are going to have here today would achieve. The general election will start on Saturday, the 25th February 2023, with the national elections, that's the presidential election, and the elections for the two houses of National Assembly, the Senate and the House of Representatives. On that day, legislators for 109 senatorial districts and 360 House of Representatives constituencies will be elected. The state elections, that's election of governors, as well as 993 members of the state houses of assembly, will hold 2 weeks later on Saturday, 11th March 2023. Only 28 out of 36 governors will be elected on that day. The other 8 do not fall due because of past electoral litigations that misaligned the tenures of the affected governors. Given the geographical expanse of the country, Nigeria, the number of registered voters, electoral constituency, and polling units conducting a general election in Nigeria is a huge undertaking. The delimitation details are staggering. That's about 93,469,008 registered voters expected to elect the representative for 149 to elect 1,491 constituency in 176,846 polling units. Based on the figures compiled from the website of various electoral commissions and interior ministries in West Africa, Nigeria's current voter population is 16,742,916, higher than the 76,726,092 registered voters in the other 14 countries put together. My God. This means that a general election in Nigeria is like conducting elections in the whole of West Africa and beyond. Since 1999, Nigeria has been conducting general and regular general elections following restoration of civilian democratic rule of governance after many years of military rule. The 2023 general election will be the seventh consecutive general election in Nigeria. This fact makes it the longest period of electoral democracy in the country's history. Previous periods of electoral democracy were relatively short, repeatedly truncated by military interventions. However, the quantity of elections is one thing, but their quality is another, as Zavadskaya Kaya and Garnett aptly notes. The question of integrity of election is relevant for all elections, whether in new democracies or jurisdictions that have held elections for decades, because they are all vulnerable to malpractice. However, good elections are not only about curbing malpractices but also ensuring inclusiveness. Inclusive elections constitute an essential part of democracy. This is the reason why in our commission we regularly speak of our commitment to free, fair, credible, transparent, verifiable and inclusive elections. To be sure, credible and inclusive elections in the final analysis depend on adequate preparation, and main preoccupation today is to share with you how we are preparing for a general election of high integrity and inclusiveness in Nigeria in 2023. Now, the lessons from 2019 general election is this. Preparation for the 2023 general election are largely being concluded, and preliminary deployments are already underway. Indeed, our preparations began quite early, learning from some of our experiences in 2019, particularly the sole experience of having to postpone that election a few hours before it commenced. One important lesson from 2019 is that great planning and preparations are important, but unfortunately, these are often in the risk of what people Norris calls simple human errors, technical malfunctions, and logistical failures. However, early preparations provide opportunities for adequate planning, resourcing, testing of systems that will reduce this risk to a minimum. A second lesson from 2019 is that early choice of election management tools, especially the main election technology, their proper pilot testing and deployment are exceedingly important for a successful election. For election technology, early decision is central to maintaining its integrity, popularizing it among voters, and addressing any other challenges that could arise. We know that political actors often try to undermine the process by attacking the technology, casting doubt on its suitability, bypassing its use, or indeed seeking to undermine its security. Now, for electoral operations and procurement and logistics, he said, this is proceeding satisfactorily, as at 4th of January 2023, we received the final badge of the BVAS to be used for the election, that puts us on course to perform functional and integrity tests on every BVAS to be deployed for the election, which has been concluded in many states nationwide. In addition, we plan to conduct a series of mock trials of BVAS with actual voters in real time in parts of the country to further ascertain their functioning in actual election situation. Other sensitive materials such as the ballot and result forms are being printed. The Commission is progressively taking delivery of them and deploying them to locations across the country. Logistics have often been a major Achilles heel of the election in Nigeria. We are determined to solve that challenge. We have established logistics management system which uses an Android application and web dashboard to track election materials from procurement through storage to delivery. For the first time, we have comprehensive election logistics framework to guide logistics for the general elections from planning through deployment to retrieval. This is the first deployment of an end-to-end logistics framework for elections. He talked about diaspora voting. He said voting by millions of Nigerians living outside the country remains a recurrent issue for the Commission. Nigeria is said to have one of the largest diaspora communities in the world. Our quest for a fully inclusive electoral process in Nigeria will not be complete as long as these Nigerians are unable to vote. However, the Commission only acts in accordance with the electoral legal framework, which remains the main reason why we cannot implement diaspora voting for now. Both the 1999 Constitution and the 2022 Electoral Act provide that voters can only be registered and vote within the country. For instance, Section 77, subsection 2 of the Constitution provide that every citizen of Nigeria who has attained the age of 18 years residing in Nigeria at the time of registration of voters for the purposes of election to a legislative house shall be entitled to be registered as a voter or also to be elected. Section 132 subsection 5 and 178 subsection 5 tie the eligibility of register and vote in exclusive election, presidential and governorship to the requirement of residency as in the case of legislative houses. The commission hopes that this legal obstacle will be cleared at some point to enable Nigerians in the diaspora to vote in election. In conclusion, he said, we have promised Nigerians and friends of Nigeria that in 2023, general election will be free, fair, credible and inclusive, and we have left no stone unturned in preparing for it despite several challenges. But all elections, especially those involving this type of extensive national deployment like we do in Nigeria, will naturally come with challenges. We have worked closely and with stakeholders and development partners to confront these challenges, and we are satisfied with our preparation so far. Our commission does not take the pledge that we have repeatedly made to Nigerians lightly. We are leaving no stone unturned in our preparations. Our commitment remains only to Nigerians and not to any political party or candidate. That is what the law requires of us. We cherish the institutional independence and integrity of the Commission with the enthusiasm of Nigerians, the goodwill of stakeholders and partners, and the commitment of the Commission. We believe that the 2023 general election will be among the best conducted in Nigeria. I thank you very much for this kind invitation and audience. That's what the chairman has got to say. I mean, the INEC chair has got to say concerning it, giving us all full assurance that our votes this time will count.